Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist, a student of natural law, and an energy practitioner. And I've decided I'm going to do a little review of why I say those things, why I tell you that I'm a intuitive artist, why I tell you that I'm a student of natural law, and why I tell you I'm an energy practitioner in hopes that it will explain what I'm doing here. And I have some notes that I'm going to go back to too, to make sure I cover everything. But I'm an intuitive artist, and an energy practitioner means that for the last 30 years, 30 plus years, I have been channeling art, meaning that I don't start with an idea. I just start. I put down a substrate and I put down color or different designs or whatever, and I see what's there. As a result of that, um, I have access to clairvoyance through my artwork, and I've done clairvoyant readings from my artwork. Um, that just means clear sight, so I can see more than what is in this realm. It doesn't mean I can see the future, but you know, you can tell the future by what's in your hand. So I basically provide more of the information that's in your hand. So that's one thing being an intuitive artist has provided me. Um, before I became an intuitive artist, which was in 1989, I was a illustrator, and I learned how to draw. I learned how to draw from life using drawing on the right side of the brain, which I recommend, the first or second edition, Betty Edwards. If anyone would like to learn concentration exercises, that would be a really good way to do that. So I do know how to draw and paint from life, but I found that the psychic realms were more interesting. Um, Now, a student of natural law means that I practice natural law, and I've practiced natural law for 30 plus years. What does that mean? Um, well, the natural law is the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Um, Now, I'm going to pause there for a second just to explain why it's important and relevant that I'm an energy practitioner. Again, I became an energy practitioner about 3 years ago, and it's a healing profession um, based on Chinese medicine, and so um, that's tuned into natural law because part of natural law are the seven hermetic principles, the base principle of which is mentalism. And mentalism basically says that the all is in all, and all is in the all. So to me, that relates to energy because it basically says what we know from quantum physics at this point, which is that everything is made of energy and particles, particles with energy in between. And so I basically just expanded my repertoire as an intuitive artist into being an energy practitioner using Chinese medicine to heal through the body code, then the emotion code. So to me, this is all connected. Um, for me, natural law connects to the creator. I am in direct relationship with the creator. I have my own relationship with God, and I pray all the time, and I get a lot of help from God, whatever you want to think that is. And it's a non-denominational connection. I do not attend any religious order. I use natural law basically. And so again, what is natural law? So um, I'm going to just refer to my notes here. Theft is the most egregious violation of natural law, so don't steal. Well, what does that even mean? Because we don't think we're stealing, do we? This whole system we are in is based upon theft. Theft of property through taxation, now eminent domain, contributing and consumption of material goods produced and distributed through slave labor, theft of intellectual space, which is coercion. Our whole system is based on not telling you the whole story. Theft of life, murder, the police, the military, our food system, cannibalism, theft of sexual space, rape. Look at the latest transgender charade that was perpetrated on underage school children. That was a form of sexual abuse. Um, so the seven hermetic principles of natural law, with the main principle of mentalism, show that we are all connected because, again, we're all part of the all. We're all connected. Um, so that means that every action that I take in the system steals from myself and other sentient beings. It is not as if I have much control over that nowadays. You know, as the noose gets tighter and tighter, as the dark occult Luciferians tighten the noose more and more using technology. Now they have artificial intelligence. I'm sure they've had that for a long time, but it's getting, more intense now. However, maybe we could have half a chance if we educated ourselves about the principles that govern this realm instead of just seeking entertainment. Now, I have my theories about this. I kind of feel like, I'm just going to put this out here, it's not in my notes, but I feel like the collective has basically given up. Like everybody's just like, screw it. I'm going to hell in a bucket, but at least I'm going to enjoy the ride. That's what it feels like to me. Like nobody cares about anything anymore, really, except just satiating our passions. And that's just too bad. It's really too bad because we could turn this thing around because we're human. And that means that we have access to these incredible abilities. It would just require that we study and learn them. And, you know, for myself, because I have this relationship with the creator, I don't really have to do as much nose to the grindstone studying as someone else who might just use their own will to learn this stuff. I just pray and I gain access to things that people can't access unless they work really hard. That's your choice, okay? You could either do it the way that I did it, which was, I mean, it did require that I had a complete deflation of ego and decided to choose to give my entire will to God, the creator, the pattern behind me. So that was not an easy thing to do, but since I have done it, now I have access in a kind of magical way. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to study and practice, which I'm also doing, because I feel like I want much more access right now because I need to be a soldier in this war that I'm in, where my mind and my environment are being stolen by psychopaths who may or may not be from here. Um, so getting back to my notes here, it does feel like so what I was going to say as a result of that is that it feels like most people have just given up and don't care and don't want to study, don't want to do anything. The collective is just consuming resources, throwing away the earth, throwing away the environment, just for, whatever. And their own children, like they're throwing their own children under the bus too, because what are their children going to be left with, But that's where we're at. That's how I see it anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just have a pessimistic point of view, which I do have a pessimistic point of view, but I try to turn that around now. Like I will say to myself, thy will be done, God's will be done. God will take care of it. That's what I'll say, so that I don't leave my negative thoughts hanging out there without any positive solution. Um, so in the old days, even before my time, um, people did learn how to think. And there are many aspects to that. And I'm just going to list some from a book I read. Consciousness, attention, perception, memory, imagination, feelings, emotions, intuition, intellect, conception, reasoning, inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, fallacious reasoning, the trivium, will training, apophatic inquiry, debate, argument, the right brain, the left brain, brain balance, accessing higher knowledge through the neocortex, all these things. And then the astral plane, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, telepathy, telekinesis, levitation, all that, all is in the mind, which is partly the brain, partly the heart, the lower dantian, the gut, sacral, the auric field, the ether, God, all together combined. That's the mind. It's the capital M mind, which is the creator, the all, and then my mind, brain, heart, gut. Okay. Um, so that's what I'm doing right now. First, we went through the Kabbalion by the three initiates. That took the better part of a year last year to understand the basic principles of this realm, the law of mentalism, correspondence, cause and effect, polarity, vibration, rhythm, and gender. And that was mental gender. We went into a bit about that mental gender. So it has come to my attention that the three initiates is likely William Walker Atkinson. I read an introduction to a book by Clint Marsh recently. The book was called um, Clairvoyance and Occult Powers, and it was reissued by Clint Marsh and William Walker Atkinson under the pseudonym Swami Panchadasi, I believe is what it was. Um, After I read that book, I read the other book, The Mentalist Handbook by Clint Marsh, in which he goes into how to travel the astral plane, how to become a mentalist. And then when I was reading, when I read the other book, the reissued book, the introduction of that book showed that William Walker Atkinson had many pseudonyms, he had like 10 different pseudonyms or more that he used as an author. And one of them was the Three Initiates. So when I realized that, I started reading The Arcane Teachings, which is by William Walker Atkinson. And then there's another book that supplements that called The Arcane Formulas, which shows how to apply the arcane teachings. And there's two other supplemental booklets that go with that. And I recognized that it is the sequel to the Kabbalion. And it's in which he elaborates and shows how to apply the principles. So that's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to recommend that people who are interested listen to the arcane teachings on YouTube, and I'll provide a link to that. And then I'm going to probably just read the parts of the arcane teachings that discuss mentalism specifically with the how-tos. Um, and then if others want to, read those books, they can. The other books, like the book is available at Global Gray eBooks. I'll put the description in uh, like the link to that place in the description. Um, it's also available on Anna's. It's also available on Amazon as a printed book. And of course, you can listen to it on YouTube. I'm not sure you can listen to the other parts of it, though. Only the arcane teachings, I think, are available on YouTube. Um, so the reason why I'm going to specifically just delve into mentalism is because the power is in our minds. Yes, the whole book is relevant, but it is so dense. Um, I think you guys can just read it yourselves. I mean, I read it. I listened to it first on YouTube. I might listen to it a few more times. Then I started reading it, and it made more sense because I had already absorbed a lot of it. And then I just am studying it right now. So, um, why am I doing this? Our power lies in our minds and in the mind of the creator. So, how to activate our abilities in conjunction with creating a closer relationship with the creator is my goal. And I'm going to share that with you. And I feel like that's me practicing natural law at the highest level I possibly can. Because I feel like if I can activate my clairs, telekinesis, telepathy, and uh, levitation, then I can go to war with these dark occult Luciferians. I mean, I can already wipe chemtrails out of the sky with my finger using sword fingers, but I want more. I want to be able to fight, and I want to reclaim my mind from the distraction machine that I carry around with me, the dopamine flask. I want to reclaim my mind from that. Um, and I want to go back to being human, a human being that doesn't use social media. I'm just going to let go of all those people. I don't need them. I don't need to have anybody in my life who isn't a real person. And I don't need social media. I got into social media because I wanted community, but it's basically a destroyer of community. So, um, I want to reclaim my mind and reclaim the abilities that are my birthright as a human. So right now, what I'm doing is I have a meditation practice. I'm practicing Qigong, and I'm also starting a practice with a friend of mine to learn telepathy with her. We're going to meet in person and we're going to do remote telepathy. I live by natural law, which means in this system, number one, I treat people the way I want to be treated. I try to be kind, courteous, and helpful. I try to go the extra mile for my brothers and sisters. What does that actually mean? Well, I have some interesting experiences. I helped a homeless person. Um, I became their friend. His friend is a man. I became his friend and I helped him get housing. And I made a commitment to myself that I would make sure that he was housed for the rest of his life. And he was housed he passed away in February at 72 years old. And um, he was housed for the last 12 years of his life. He had had a psychotic break. So he he was just couldn't really function. So I stayed his friend, even though it was very difficult. That's what I'm talking about. Stuff like that. And I will say, if you do stuff like that, and I tried to help him, and not, force him to do anything he didn't want to do. That was, it's not like about helping someone the way I think they should be helped. It's helping someone the way they would like to be helped. I will tell you that by doing that, I was blessed with the most amazing gifts as a result. So that's going the extra mile for my brothers and sisters. And whatever I can do now, I also will do. So, two, I don't steal. So, I tithe 10% of my gross to offset the theft, which is carried just by living in the system. So, just by living in the system and using Federal Reserve notes, which are theft notes, and also usury. I mean, I don't take out loans or whatever, but interest or whatever. I don't have credit. I don't use credit. But I feel like just using the system at all is theft, just because of all the there's so much behind the scenes that most people don't know about with regards to our financial system that I'm not going to get into right now. That tithing 10% of my gross kind of sets me in a more spiritual place because I'm saying that I know the true source of my supply is coming from God. Three, I practice anonymous acts of service. Well, I'm not going to get into that too deeply, but you know, do something nice for someone and don't get found out. If you can't think of anything, pray about it and you'll get intuitive thought about what you could do. Four, I pray and ask God to guide and direct me in everything I do, and I ask how I may be helpful to my brothers and sisters. Basically, I ask for direction on how I can step outside of this stupid system we're in and work for God. It's a lot better way of living. Five, I do not participate in many government games, as many as I possibly can. I do not participate in. So you can figure that one out. Six, when confronted with having to participate in the system, I pause, I pray, and I look for alternative ways to continue living in the agora. I'll see if I can leave a link to at least Derek Brose's website. The Conscious Resistance has a bunch of books about living in the agora, which basically just means living like a normal person who isn't participating in this technocracy that we're in. So I'm going to provide links to the arcane teachings that you can listen to on YouTube and how to buy the book on Amazon. And I'm going to start reading from that book and talking about mentalism from that book next time.